It is often the snack you eat without thinking, the one after dinner, the one while the television is on, the one you tell yourself you earned because the day was long. And if you are over 60, that habit can matter more than most people realize. Here is what most doctors do not say out loud. As we age, the body does not handle late-night food the way it did at 40. Blood sugar stays elevated longer. Digestion slows down. Sleep becomes lighter and lighter. And when poor sleep, high insulin, extra body fat, and quiet inflammation start stacking together night after night, they create the kind of internal environment where damage builds slowly and silently. Not because one bite causes anything. That is not how this works. But because repeated patterns change the terrain inside your body. And terrain matters. Most older adults think the danger is only in what they eat during the day. But the hour you eat may be just as important as the food itself. That quiet bedtime snack can interfere with the very hormones your body depends on for repair, rest, and healthy metabolism. And you would never know it from how you feel in the moment. Before we go further, I am Dr. Kevin Adewala. On this channel, we break down health information in a calm, practical way so you can make better decisions without fear or confusion. If you care about protecting your energy, your sleep, and your long-term health as you age, you are in the right place. Tonight, I want to show you what actually makes certain nighttime foods risky, why the body becomes more vulnerable after dark, what to eat instead if you are genuinely hungry, and how blood sugar, insulin, inflammation, sleep, and excess calories all connect into one pattern that quietly works against you. More importantly, you will learn how to spot the foods that seem completely harmless, but keep your body working hard when it should be repairing itself. One better evening choice, repeated consistently, can improve your sleep, your appetite, your energy, and your weight more than most people expect. And those small wins add up fast, especially when your goal is not perfection, but protection. Food. 1. Sugary desserts. Cake, cookies, ice cream, pastries, sweet puddings. These are the obvious place to start, and there is a reason for that. What they are is simple. Foods packed with fast-digesting sugar, often mixed with refined flour and fat, that hit your bloodstream quickly. Why that matters at night is also simple. Your body is preparing for rest, not for a wave of glucose. When blood sugar rises fast, the pancreas releases insulin to manage it. And the problem is this. Repeated high insulin over time is linked to weight gain, insulin resistance, and chronic inflammation, all of which are tied to higher long-term health risk. In real life, this is the bowl of ice cream at 9:30, the 2 cookies taken after evening medication, the leftover cake that would go bad if you did not finish it tonight. It feels harmless because the portion looks small. It even feels comforting after a long day. But your body still has to handle it while you are trying to sleep. Blood sugar stays elevated. Sleep becomes more fragmented. And the next morning, you wake up groggy and already hungry again. That is how the cycle builds, one night at a time. Most people miss this entirely because they blame broken sleep on age. They never connected to what happened in the kitchen 2 hours earlier. Here is what makes it more serious long-term. When a nightly dessert habit quietly supports weight gain around the abdomen, it can shift hormone balance and metabolic health in ways that go far beyond the scale. Your body at night is supposed to shift toward repair. Hormones are supposed to settle into a calmer rhythm. When a concentrated sugar hit arrives instead, that rhythm gets interrupted. You may not feel a dramatic crash, but the body does the work anyway, and that mismatch, repeated night after night, is exactly where the cost accumulates. But here is the real question. Why do foods that look far less sweet often do the same thing? Food 2. Refined nighttime snacks. Crackers, chips, white toast with jam, sweet cereal, light crunchy biscuits. These seem safer because they do not look like dessert. But what they are is mostly refined carbohydrate. The fiber and natural structure have been removed so digestion happens fast. The body converts most of it into glucose quickly. And if you eat these foods at night, you can still trigger that same blood sugar and insulin surge, especially without protein or fiber to slow things down. Here is what this looks like. Someone wakes up at 11, feels a little empty, and grabs a handful of crackers, or pours a bowl of cereal because it feels lighter than a real meal. It seems reasonable, quick, easy on the stomach, familiar. But this is exactly why so many older adults miss it. They think only candy is a sugar problem. In reality, your body often sees a bowl of sweet cereal and a frosted dessert as close cousins. There is also a behavioral trap here that almost nobody talks about. Refined snacks do not create real fullness, so one handful becomes 2, Then maybe a second trip to the pantry. Because the food is dry and light, the brain barely registers it. But the calories count, and because fiber is missing, hunger returns fast. This is why late-night snackers often feel confused. They ate something, yet they are still searching. The food never solved the need. Long-term, frequent refined snacks push the body toward insulin resistance. Cells stop responding well to insulin, so the body makes even more of it. Higher insulin and growing body fat are not small issues. They are part of the bigger picture when it comes to metabolic disease and long-term health risk. The next item is one almost nobody thinks of as a nighttime problem. It shows up in sandwiches, in leftovers, in quick bites standing in front of the open fridge, and it carries more risk than most people expect. Food. 3. Processed meats, bacon, sausage, hot dogs, deli slices, cured meats. What they are is meat that has been smoked, salted, cured, or preserved with additives. The concern here is not only calories. These foods often contain high sodium, preservatives, and compounds that over time have been linked with higher health risk, especially when eaten regularly. At night, they create a second problem. They are almost always paired with bread, cheese, or other leftovers, which means a heavy, salty, calorie-dense combination arriving close to sleep. In real life, this is the half sandwich before bed, the leftover pizza with pepperoni, a few rolled up deli slices because they are there and it is late. It feels like a protein choice, so people assume it is smart. And protein does help with fullness. But processed meat is not the same as a boiled egg, plain yogurt, beans, or a simple piece of unprocessed chicken. One late snack does not decide your future. Patterns do. Repetition does. And here is what makes processed meat especially tricky at night. The flavor is strong, salty, and designed to keep you coming back. Late at night, when self-control is naturally lower, a few bites become a full plate before you fully realize it. Now you are dealing with excess sodium, extra calories, disrupted thirst overnight, and often more bathroom trips that break your sleep even further. Most people miss this because they focus only on sugar. But cancer risk and long-term health risk are not only about sugar. They involve processed foods, sodium load, body weight, sleep quality, and overall dietary pattern. All of it matters. And now, the food that confuses almost everyone, because it does not look dangerous. It looks responsible. Food 4. Sweetened yogurt and healthy bedtime snacks. This is the one I mentioned at the start. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Fruit on the bottom yogurt. Flavored yogurt cups. Granola. Honey-drizzled cereal. Packaged protein bars, light snack cups with whole grain on the label. These products look healthy because the packaging says high protein, low fat, probiotic, heart smart, or wholesome. What many of them actually are is dessert in a polite outfit. Some contain as much added sugar as a small cookie. The fruit is sweetened. The crunch topping is mostly syrup and refined starch. The protein bar has a nutrient list that reads more like candy than food. Why this matters at night is that your body does not respond to marketing language. It responds to what is actually inside the package. If a snack contains significant added sugar and little fiber, blood sugar can still rise sharply, no matter how clean the label sounds. And because these products are often calorie-dense in a small serving, they are easy to overeat without realizing it. In real life, this is the person who is genuinely trying to do the right thing. They are not reaching for cake. They are reaching for the product they were told was balanced, smart, and safe before bed. That is exactly what makes this so frustrating. They are being careful, and the snack is still working against them. The safest way to judge these products is not the front of the package. It is the ingredient list and the nutrition label. If added sugar appears in multiple forms, or if the calorie count for one small serving matches a dessert, it is not a light bedtime choice. If you are genuinely hungry, plain unsweetened yogurt with no added flavoring, or a small amount of real protein, is almost always the better direction. Most people miss this for years because marketing language is powerful. Words like wholesome and balanced lower your guard. And many of these products are designed to taste satisfying first and nourish well second. If this habit goes unchecked, it quietly delivers the same problems as dessert. Extra calories, poor glucose control, and disrupted sleep quality, night after night. Let that sink in for a moment. Food 5. Fried leftovers and takeout. Fried chicken, French fries, creamy pasta, burgers, and heavy takeout leftovers are a different kind of problem. What they are is dense food loaded with fat, calories, and sodium. Fat by itself is not the enemy. Your body needs healthy fats. But large, greasy meals close to bedtime slow stomach emptying dramatically and force your digestive system to keep working when your body is trying to wind down. That significantly worsens acid reflux, which is stomach acid moving back up toward the throat, and it disrupts sleep in ways you often do not connect to the food. Here is what that looks like. Dinner was early. The evening stretched long. At 10:30, the leftovers were just sitting there. A few bites turned into a full plate. Then you lay down feeling pressure in your chest, warmth rising in your throat, or that restless tossing that never settles into real deep sleep. The next morning you feel heavy and flat, but you blame stress, or age, or just a bad night. The connection to the food never occurs to you. A lot of people wonder why timing matters if the food was already eaten earlier in the day. Here is the answer. The same meal can feel very different to your body depending on when it arrives. Late at night, lying down after a greasy meal, reflux becomes far more likely. Poor sleep then changes hunger hormones by morning. You wake up craving sugar and processed food. You choose convenience. The loop repeats. One rough night becomes a pattern. A pattern becomes a lifestyle. The reason so many people miss this is that fried leftovers do not always cause a dramatic, immediate reaction. The signals are subtle. Poorer sleep, heavier breathing, nighttime discomfort, stronger hunger the next morning because the sleep was broken. Over time, repeated late heavy meals add to weight gain, metabolic strain, and the kind of systemic stress that quietly accumulates in ways you only notice years later. And that brings us to the final pattern, because this one is not about any single food, it is about the whole picture. Food 6. Oversized portions before bed. Sometimes the problem is not one specific food, it is the full second dinner, a large sandwich followed by fruit, then cereal, then a cookie, then a cup of tea with sugar, then just a little something else because you are still awake and it is quiet and the kitchen is close. What this is, biologically, is a significant calorie load arriving at the exact time your body is becoming less equipped to handle it efficiently. Nighttime hormones shift. Physical activity drops to nearly zero. The body wants to repair, not to keep digesting a moving stream of food. When calories keep arriving, especially from mixed processed sources, blood sugar stays elevated longer and sleep quality quietly falls apart. Picture it, soft lights, the television on low, mindless eating in a comfortable chair. It does not feel dangerous. It feels normal. It feels like rest. But nighttime grazing is one of the easiest ways to eat several hundred extra calories without ever feeling like you overate. That is why so many older adults say, honestly, I do not eat that much, and still find their weight, waistline, and sleep getting steadily worse. They blame aging. And yes, aging plays a real role, but habit plays an equal one. When oversized late eating becomes routine, it compounds everything: obesity, insulin resistance, reflux, broken sleep. And each of those problems feeds the others through inflammation, hormone disruption, and metabolic stress that never fully resets. Here is a simple tool. Before reaching for food at night, pause and ask yourself 3 questions. Would I eat something plain and simple right now, like a boiled egg or a handful of plain nuts? Or am I looking for flavor and comfort? Did I eat enough protein and fiber earlier in the day? Am I reaching for food because I am genuinely hungry, or because I am tired, bored, lonely, or unsettled? That pause can change everything, because once you identify the real trigger, you can respond to it differently. A short walk around the room, a full glass of water, moving snack foods out of sight, setting a firm kitchen cutoff time. These small shifts break the automatic loop before it builds momentum. If you are genuinely hungry at night, choose something small, simple, and minimally processed. Plain yogurt without added sugar, a boiled egg, a few nuts if they work for your needs, and better yet, look earlier in the day. Did you undereat at lunch? Did you skip protein at dinner? Did boredom or habit send you to the fridge instead of real hunger? That is the deeper question worth asking. So let us close the loop on food 4. The reason that sweetened yogurt or health-labeled snack bar is so misleading is that it makes you feel like you are making a responsible choice while delivering many of the same nighttime problems as dessert. Blood sugar rises, extra calories accumulate. The overnight window, when your body should be resting and repairing, gets interrupted instead. That is the moment most people miss. The risky choice is not always the obviously bad one. Sometimes it is the food that looks responsible, sounds balanced, and slips quietly under your radar for months or even years. The most important thing to take from this is simple. No single food causes harm by itself, but repeated late-night eating patterns can create an internal environment that is less protected, more inflamed, and more metabolically stressed over time. That matters more after 60 than at any earlier point in your life. So here is one action you can take tonight. Pick a kitchen cutoff time that is at least 2 to 3 hours before bed. Follow it for just 1 week. Notice your sleep. Notice your morning hunger. Notice how often those late cravings were habit instead of genuine need. You may be surprised by what 1 week shows you. If this kind of honest, practical guidance helps you feel more in control of your health, stay with this channel. Subscribe and tell me in the comments which nighttime food is hardest for you to give up. And do not stop here. Watch the next video because what you eat first thing in the morning may be shaping your blood sugar, your inflammation, and your energy for the entire rest of the day.